we're joined by NFL All-City analyst, our guy Brian Baldinger. Baldy, it's kind of the calm before the storm. We got some OTAs going on right now. What are you doing to keep your time busy here before the season starts?
I was just at Dolphins OTA yesterday. I mean, you go around the league and, Tua was at a Nick Saban celebrity golf tournament, and Tyreek was someplace, and Jalen and OBJ. So it wasn't like, but, you got a chance to see some of the young guys, some of the guys they drafted, some of the new players. Good to see a guy like Javon Holland back after some injuries last year. So, I got something out of it. Listen to Mike McDaniel talk a little bit. So it's kind of the beginning. It's, these things are involuntary. Guys are there, not there. But I do think it's important. I was listening to Darius Slay today in Philadelphia say he doesn't need to be there. He's in his 11th or 12th year. He's a great player. But they've drafted 2 young corners. And he thought it was really important for him to be there at OTAs to help these guys sort of transition, to the NFL right now. So everybody kind of looks at these things a little bit different.
It's funny. The Cardinals are going to be in Miami. We're going to be in Miami. We're doing a road trip later this year. Fired up to watch Kyler Murray take on Tua and company.
Yep.
Let's talk Cardinals here. So big news out of OTAs this week, Baldy. Jonathan Gannon, when asked, he made the move official. He's right now, Paris Johnson Jr., standout rookie last year, is moving from right tackle to left tackle. That means Jonah Williams, who they signed in free agency, is going to go on the right-hand side. Like, what do you see or what have you seen from Paris Johnson Jr. that would lead you to believe, like, hey, not only is this the right decision for the team, this is where he can really reach his ceiling as a former top 5 pick?
It's so funny. So funny that this is a subject right now. Honestly, I just began kind of studying Paris, especially like week 17 against the Eagles. I mean, he played every snap last year. That's the first thing. When that's important. That's really important. I don't care what the Cardinals' record was. He came in, played every snap at right tackle. Like, there's something about the professionalism that he came and the approach that he has. Now, he was a left tackle at Ohio State. And so I think it's a natural transition for him. I thought that, look, they had DJ there last year until the injury, whatever. Like, I thought this would eventually be the move. Like, let's put Paris over at left tackle. It's not uncommon. I saw Jonathan Ogden play left guard his first year in the NFL and then go become a Hall of Fame left tackle. So they got value for Paris right away. They understand the approach. I thought he improved as the season went on. And so here we are. Like, use this offseason to get back to left tackle and work on the techniques and the fundamentals, which can be a little bit different after spending the first year at right tackle.
They get Jonah Williams from Cincinnati. He played right tackle last year for the first time, and statistically, or if you look at some of the advanced metrics, had a solid year. How much is this, hey, we don't want to rock the boat with what he did a year ago. Let's just continue to double down on this? Because we know, like, initially, Jonah Williams did not want to leave left tackle. He asked for a trade. He moved over to right tackle. I do think Kyler Murray's style of play, I think that the Cardinals being a run-first offense, I think it lends itself well for Jonah Williams to continue to ascend as a right tackle. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I think that's his home. I mean, I'm sure most guys, if given the choice, right tackle, left tackle, they'll go left tackle. They tend to get paid higher, although Penei Sewell just reset the market at right tackle in Detroit. And there was a time when everybody said, he'll just go replace Taylor Decker, except Decker's played really good. I just think this is I don't know. I don't think this is a radical move. I think you're going to get 2 players in good spots right here. You want to kind of, build your offensive line from the tackles position in. I thought they played very well in the interior last year. So I think this is good. Jonah comes, joins the club, played right tackle in Cincinnati, move Paris over, and let's put this thing together now. Let's start building it. Let's start working, with Hernandez on the right side and start getting, some of the chemistry that you need to be really good right side, left side. Start establishing that now.
You mentioned the chemistry. The Cardinals have been seeing a lot this offseason, Kyler Murray and company with his offensive, counterparts, specifically the O-line. And you mentioned Will Hernandez and Yelda Froholt. They signed Evan Brown, the guard from Seattle, who I think it was Yelda Froholt, somebody said is already like the strongest pound-for-pound player on the team. Talk to me a little bit about how important it is for the cohesion to have consistency up front on the offensive line, because last year's group outside of left guard, like 4 out of those 5 guys you could count on every single football Sunday. And while they weren't the best group collectively in the NFL, I think it led to a lot of the Cardinals' success. That continuity you can't replace.
Oh, I thought they played really well. Froholtz was eye-opener to me, got a chance. He was in Cleveland, got a chance to play and start. I think he asserted himself. You go back and watch him in Pittsburgh and that big win that they had against the Steelers. He was outstanding. I've known Will Hernandez since he was at Texas El Paso. He never missed a game at UTEP. He was a good player with the Giants. His weakness is he is muscled up. He's a power lifter. He's strong as an ox. He's not the most mobile, nimble, athletic guy, but he's very tough and he's very strong. And I thought he played well last year at right guard. He found a home. And one thing about Will is he's a pro. He's a pro. He lines up every week. So I think it's important to get him and Evan and Froholtz get that established right now. Everything from the calls to how we're going to block the mic on this play when you can't get to him with traditional means, whatever it might be. Just the adjustments that you have to make during the game. Just listening to blitz looks and how you're going to adjust. All this stuff matters, and all this stuff transfers to opening day in Buffalo next year when most of those guys won't hear Kyler Murray the entire afternoon.
It's funny, they open with Buffalo. That was going to be my next question. We haven't chatted with you since the NFL schedule has come out, and the Cardinals have a robust schedule to start the year. They play a lot of playoff contenders, and then on the back end side, it's a little lighter. You get the Patriots, you get the Carolina Panthers, right? Maybe Seattle twice. How important is it for Kyler Murray to get off to a fast start this season, especially when you consider, okay, he's coming back from injury. Suppose he looks fantastic this offseason. He's got a true number 1 wide receiver, Baldy, in Marvin Harrison Jr. The expectations is you got to keep this team above water, 500 or around there with this schedule. It's going to be difficult for Kyler.
Yeah, they get 3 home games after they come back from Buffalo. So you get a chance to kind of win the fan base right there, right in his home. It's division games. You got some tough games, Rams, Detroit, whatever. It does, the schedule's a schedule. I used to joke around football players live the life of a fruit fly. A fruit fly's lifespan is 7 days. And they live in 7-day life cycles. That's what they do. And so you just kind of reinvent yourself every 7 days. And so, Trey McBride proved this guy is a legit tight end in his second year. You get yourself a true number 1. James Conner's coming off maybe one of his best years ever. You put the offensive line together. There's pieces here. There's real pieces. And so I don't think, and for the first time now in a little while, you've got stability. You've got a general manager. You got a coach. He's healthy. You come back, the offensive line is together. He's not fighting for a contract. There's not a new general manager. There's stability in the organization right now. And I think they had a really good draft. So, this is how you start to win. This is how you want to go compete with the 49ers and the Rams. What they have is the utmost in stability. They don't get everything right, but they got their quarterback situation. They got their coaches. They know how to pick players. They've got stability. And if you're going to compete in this division, you got to have the same thing. Seattle's now getting, they're going through a transition right now. But, John Schneider's been there. That's where Arizona has to play catch up, is in the stability and how you build a winning franchise.
Yeah, part of the possibility of getting there, and somebody's going to help them. You mentioned it, the true number 1 wide receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr. in his arrival. He's catching passes, albeit in a pretty lax OTAs. They're easing him in. It's the title of today's show, Baldy. I want to get your opinion because a lot's been made. Best prospect of the last half decade, top receiver, AJ Green, Calvin Johnson-esque. He's already being ranked among some of his best peers in the NFL, top 20 receiver coming into this season. What are your realistic expectations for Marvin Harrison Jr., having not played a down of NFL football yet?
Well, I think the expectation should be high. We've seen a lot of receivers come straight from college and light up the NFL. We saw Puka do it last year. We saw Jamar do it. We've seen Justin Jefferson do it. We saw Garrett Wilson do it, win Rookie of the Year. The expectation should be high. He's coming from an elite program where he's been a dominant player. He's played with an elite quarterback in C.J. Stroud. Why shouldn't he go catch 100 passes this year? Why shouldn't he get 12 touchdown catches? Like, that's the expectations. And this was a wide receiver draft, but it was very, very bunched at the very top with Rome Odunze and with Malik Neighbors. He still was the first guy taken. All right, go prove that you were the elite of the elite in a good wide receiver class. Go out there and show it. And, look, Kyler has had DeAndre Hopkins. He's had some really good players to throw to in his short time right now. Like, he's got himself a true number one. So that means red zone. That means third down. That means we need a play, to stay on the field to win the game, like fourth quarter comeback. I know where I got to go with the ball. And he's got the size. He's got the genetic structure. Like, it's all there. I would have very high expectations for him.
He's part of the new era of this Cardinal franchise, and somebody who I don't want to say necessarily part of the old era, but is helping bring this franchise forward, is in a contract year, that being Budda Baker, Baldy. And when guys like, you see guys like Justin Simmons and Jamal Adams can't find teams right now. Budda Baker is set to make, I think, right around $19 million in a contract year for Arizona. He's going to be 29 years old next offseason. Like, what is your expectation for Budda this year? Because, again, I think this is somebody who warrants Hall of Fame consideration. He's an all-time Cardinal grade. He should go in the Ring of Honor one day. But the position of safety has just been so devalued. Like, we're projecting, Trey McBride should be extended, Yelda Frohold. What happens to Budda? What's your prediction for that?
Well, I remember doing a film session with Budda a couple years ago, like at the Pro Bowl. And I nicknamed him the Cobra. Like, he just strikes like a cobra. He liked it. I think he put it on his shoes, whatever. But at that time, he didn't have an interception in his career. Like, he didn't have, like, if you're not taking a ball away at safety, I don't care how you're doing it, whether it's forced fumbles, fumble recoveries, interceptions. If you're not doing that, then you're not going to get paid. Like, forget, there's one Ed Reed in this whole world. But, like, when you see safeties, like him and Jalen Thompson are a really good tandem. Jalen Thompson is a very good player. But Budda has started to take the ball away. He's starting to get takeaways. I think part of it is because, like, he's not so interested in just blowing everything up. I think he's a little bit more patient. I think he allows the plays to come to him a little bit more. He tries to play center field a little bit better, a little bit more with his eyes than just striking people. Like, if he comes and has a good year, if he puts up 4 interceptions and defends 12 passes, and he's 1, 2, or 3 in tackles, and he plays 17, like, you're gonna have a hard time not paying Budda, because if the Cardinals don't, somebody will pay him. He will get paid.
Get you out on this, Baldy. We look at the schedule. It's difficult, not impossible. Yet the folks, our friends in Vegas and company, have this team's over under right around 6.5. And for a team that I think almost played 500 football with Kyler Murray down the stretch, damn near going 4-4 with a roster that, let's just be honest, bottom third in the NFL, not super competitive in terms of personnel. Like, what do you make of that over-under? Do you feel like the Cardinals, is that an easy one to hammer, or you got to see it projected with Kyler Murray over 17 weeks of the season?
Well, it's a very good division. You got 2 playoff teams there and a team in transition, Seattle. But I think 6.5. I don't know how to really gauge these things, but like, if they win 7 games, if they go 4-7, like, they're going in the right direction. And if they can be competitive in these games, like they went to Baltimore and they played them tough. They beat Philadelphia, they beat Pittsburgh, they beat Dallas, they beat 3 good playoff teams. So, look, I think 7 wins. I think you can. Or if they can get to 8 and get around that 500 mark, that'd be fantastic. I mean, there's a stretch there. I'm looking, like, you go to San Francisco, you go to Green Bay, and then you still have to go to Miami. Like, you got to go to the Jets. Like, there's some really tough road opponents, and that's kind of a test more than anything else. Like, when they went to Pittsburgh last year and won, they went to Philadelphia and they won. You go on the road and you beat good teams. It's almost like you're on that plane ride coming back, and you feel really confident about what you're doing and how you're playing. And they're gonna find that out a lot by the time they get to that bye week in week 11.
We find out a lot every time you join our show, Baldy. NFL insider, all-city analyst, Brian Baldinger. Thank you so much for the time. We can't wait to chat. Training camp right around the corner. Got a little bit of a low period in June, and then we'll see you out here in Glendale, my friend.
Yep, I look forward to it, man. Thanks as always, John.